What's going on, everyone? We are exactly 2 weeks away from Laker basketball. The first preseason game against the Sacramento Kings is 2 weeks from today, and this is what the roster looks like. So let's look at the guards. You got Russell Westbrook, Patrick Beverley, Dennis Schroeder, Austin Reeves, Kendrick Nunn, Lonnie Walker, Max Christie, Scottie Pippen Jr. on a two-way deal. Granted, if a trade happens between now and then this could change up. But currently, as the roster is structured, this is what we're looking at. Guards, and then for the forwards and centers, LeBron James, Toscano Anderson, Troy Brown Jr., Winning Gabriel, Cole Swider, who is, again, on a two-way, which I wouldn't mind the Lakers bringing him in as an actual roster spot. But you got Anthony Davis and then Thomas Bryant and Damian Jones rounding out the centers. Anthony Davis playing power forward, very likely. But what will our starting lineup look like? What will this roster look like? What will the rotations of this roster look like currently constructed? Again, if a trade ends up happening, then that could change. But right off the bat, I think these four are our starters. I think you're looking at, Patrick Beverley, Russell Westbrook running the guard position. You got the shooting and the little pest defensively. That is Patrick Beverley. Got LeBron James, who has improved his three-point shooting tremendously, wants to play off the ball. So you have Patrick Beverley and Russell Westbrook that can allow him to do that. Anthony Davis running the four. And then I think you'll have a center battle for who will play the starting center. Also, could always go Anthony Davis at the 5, but realistically, I think the whole reason they got Thomas Bryant and Damian Jones was so Anthony Davis doesn't have to play the 5. Now, if it's like a Game 7 against the Dallas Mavericks or, the Denver Nuggets, something like that, then yeah, Anthony Davis probably starts the 5 because they want to win that game. But 82-game regular season, Anthony Davis is going to play the 4. So that means it'll be a showdown between Thomas Bryant and Damian Jones, which both offer you very different styles, right? Thomas Bryant, I think, is the guy that can, spread the floor, run Darvin Ham's offense more effectively, given that his floor spacing is huge. He's a guy that can put the ball in the hoop for sure, get you some rebounds, things like that, where Damian Jones is more of a high energy, he can block shots. He can shoot the 3 ball, but not as effectively, nor has he taken as many attempts as Thomas Bryant. Damian Jones averages about 1 attempt per game, which he doesn't have a large enough sample size to really judge if he can knock down efficiently from the 3-point range or not. But he was great for the Sacramento Kings last year. Again, can block shots. He's better defensively than Thomas Bryant, in my opinion. But I think that Thomas Bryant isn't a slouch when it comes to defense. Plus, you have Anthony Davis next to him. So I do think Thomas Bryant will get the start because I think he'll spread the floor better, especially with Russell Westbrook on the court. You're going to need your bigs that can knock down the threes so Russ can get to the hoop, have guys catching lobs. You can even put him in the dunker spot, have him stand in that weak side corner where he's like 55% from 3, stuff like that. I think Thomas Bryant gets the nod. I also think Thomas Bryant is all around better on both sides than Damian Jones. Like I said, he's not as good of a shot blocker or defender, but he's no slouch. He definitely can block shots. Him and Anthony Davis, I think, will work very well together. And Thomas Bryant, if he can be healthy, which is key. Same thing with Anthony Davis and this team in general, right? Health is always going to be a big factor, but I think if you have that rounding out your starting 5 of Russ, Patrick Beverley, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Thomas Bryant, I think that that's a good enough starting 5. You get enough, versatility, flexibility to do and run many different sets. And I think the Lakers would be really good with that starting 5. Well, then what happens next with the backups, right? The wings. Well, I think Lonnie Walker and Austin Reeves are the two that are going to play the wings. Right now, as much as it sucks and as little as we are, just in size in general, outside of the big men, Lonnie Walker, I think, would be the best as the backup. I really like Austin Reeves, and I do think Austin Reeves gets some burn, gets some runtime. But the reason Lonnie Walker would be more effective at the 3 as opposed to Austin Reeves is his wingspan. Lonnie Walker has a 6'10 wingspan, so he's going to be able to guard and stay with most of the bigger wings in this league. So I think that he would be the best option. Because right now, you're looking at your guard play, looking at, like I said, Russell Westbrook, Patrick Beverley at the 1 and 2. Then you probably have Kendrick Nunn, Dennis Schroeder at the backup 1 and 2. You got LeBron obviously starting at the 3, I think Lonnie Walker is that next person that comes on. I do think Austin Reeves will have a chance to compete against Lonnie Walker, and I do think whoever wins that battle will be the immediate backup. But I think they'll give the nod to Lonnie Walker if it's close, just because of his size and length. I think that is huge. Where Austin Reeves is 6'5", but he only has like a 6'7" wingspan, so his wingspan isn't very high against some of the bigger wings in this league. Granted, I think it also will depend on matchups and things like that. Like Austin Reeves, he could stick with like a Jordan Poole, because Jordan Poole, he's not going to be as big, he's not going to be as physical. He's looking to catch and shoot. So I just think it depends on matchups. But I do think Lonnie Walker will be the backup 3. And then, again, Austin Reeves will find some playing time throughout. Not just that, but Patrick Beverley's probably going to miss some games. LeBron's going to miss some games. So you have those guys, say Schroeder or Nunn miss some games. Then you have Austin Reeves coming in. So I do think Austin Reeves is definitely going to get some burn this season. I definitely think he's going to play. But I wouldn't be shocked if he's the one that kind of gets a couple DMPs. Or they're just going to really sprinkle minutes and keep fresh legs throughout, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, lots of teams do that. Milwaukee's a team that's done that. The Warriors are notorious for that, right? They'll run 15 guys a game for an 82-game season because he wants everybody to be fresh and have fresh legs. And as long as everyone's competing and doing what they're supposed to be doing, then he's fine leaving those guys out there on the court. Plus, how do you get better? How do you get game ready? The whole next man up mentality. How do you have that if you haven't played in weeks? So that's always been Steve Kerr's sort of mantra when it comes to that stuff. So I do imagine that the Lakers and Darvin Ham will structure this in the same light, of like, hey, everyone's going to get some time. That was the whole talk when we got all the guards with Dennis Schroeder. The word that was relayed to Dennis Schroeder's agent was that there's going to be plenty of minutes for everybody, because that was the big concern. You have so many guards. How are we going to be able to fit Schroeder in? And the word was, look, there's going to be plenty of minutes for everybody. So I think that everybody will I think they'll have like a balanced attack rather than, a handful of guys getting 38 minutes or something like that. It'll be like everyone gets like 20 minutes because they're going to want to stay healthy. They're going to want to stay competitive. You always have fresh legs on the court, which is good. So you're competing against teams, especially as you get later into the season when teams and players and things like that are starting to get, that wear and tear on them. Your best bet is to have a team like the Lakers that can go 15 players deep, 14 players deep. They can have that longevity, have that consistency, which hopefully is the case. So then next up would be Dennis Schroeder, right? Dennis Schroeder, he came in, they signed him. I think I wouldn't be shocked if we see him and Patrick Beverley play together on several occasions. I wouldn't be surprised if Dennis Schroeder and Patrick Beverley start on certain occasions. I think that this team is going to be based on matchups. Like, what is the matchup today? Who would be the best in order to match up the best against the opposing team? And I think that at least with Dennis Schroeder as your Russell Westbrook backup, then Dennis Schroeder, you always have that like slashing guard. You always have, hopefully Russ can buy in defensively. Darvin Ham has told him. And I think Schroeder helps with Russ buying in, because it's like, okay, Russ, you don't want to set that screen. You don't want to set that pick. You don't want to do what we're asking you to do. All right, tell you what, come sit down, and Schroeder, you're in. I know Schroeder will do it. And plus, he's a Darvin Ham guy. Him and Darvin Ham have a good relationship from his days playing in Atlanta. It's a good situation for Dennis Schroeder. He gets to come in. He's got some size. He's got like a 6'8" wingspan, somewhere in the vicinity. You always see he's 6'1" in some areas, and then some places have him listed as 6'3". So let's say he's like 6'2", for argument's sake. But the beauty is he does have a long wingspan at 6'8", which is huge for guarding, opposing point guard, stuff like that, especially on bench units, things like that. So you always have that Westbrook, Schroeder type player, that slashing guard. Schroeder can shoot about 34% from three. So he's a little under league average, but, playing next to LeBron James, stuff like that, I do imagine that could go up slightly. If he could get around 35, 36%, I think that would be huge for this Lakers team. And then he becomes a real threat off the bench. A lot of these guys, I think it's the same thing. You got to remember, like Lonnie Walker, a lot of these guys shoot about league average, little under 34, 33, 35%. But playing with a guy like LeBron James, playing with a guy like Russell Westbrook, having guys like Anthony Davis that are going to draw the defenses, that are going to distract defenses, stuff like that. A lot of these guys are going to get looks that they have never gotten in their entire careers. And I think that that will be huge for this team, knocking down shots. I've compared this team to the bubble team. That team only shot 34%, 34.5% as a team when they won the championship. It was their defense. And that is going to be what this Lakers team is going to have to rely on. They're going to win games on the defensive end. Now, of course, the size or the lack thereof is very concerning. But team defense can mask a lot of things. You have a really good team defense. You do have a lot of bigs down low. If you have the point of attacks, drawing and funneling the opposing offensive player into the big, stuff like that, trusting them to help defense. Again, you have a collective team defensive effort. This team could be very good. Look at Boston. There were even though Marcus Smart won the Defensive Player of the Year, if you look at his numbers compared to like several other guys in the league, there were other guys way better defensively than him. But that Boston defense was so good. Granted, they have more size than the Lakers, so we got to acknowledge that. But they were so good defensively, collectively, that's why he got the award, because he was like the key face, key cog of that defense. What I mean in comparison is that's how we're going to have to operate on the defensive end. All of us are going to have to contribute. We're all going to have to be there. We're all going to have to help each other. We're all going to have to trust each other. You're going to have to run through double teams, things like that. I do think this team defensively can be very good, even with its lack of size, because even a lot of the guys that are undersized do have good wingspans, and I think that's key. So Dennis Schroeder as Russell Westbrook's backup, and then Kendrick Nunn, again, another guy, 38% from three, can create his own shot, can play on the ball, can play off the ball, is a solid defender. He's not the greatest defender in the world, but is a solid defender, a guy that can get to the basket, can shoot from anywhere on the floor, guy that I think could be a real X factor for the Lakers this season. And the beauty is, if you have Schroeder, you have Nunn, you have Westbrook, you have Pat Bev, you always have two guards that are very similar. A 3-and-D type guard that can knock down at a high rate from the three-point range, and then you have those slashing guards and Russell Westbrook, Russell Westbrook and Dennis Schroeder that really kind of give you those counterbalances and those different points of attacks from an offensive perspective. So I think that would be a good position for this Lakers to be in. So again, I think that starting five, if we're looking at the starting five, I really think that we're looking at Patrick Beverley at the 2. You have Russ Westbrook at the 1, obviously. LeBron at the 3. Davis at the 4. Thomas Bryant at the 5. Then you have Schroeder. You have Nunn. You have Walker. Then you have very likely Wynn and Gabriel. See, the 4 spot is where, and this is why I haven't touched on this yet, 4 spot I think is going to be a collective. I don't think there's going to be any specific backup 4 that's designated. I just don't. I think Wynn and Gabriel, if he improved his three-point shot, could really be a guy that does that and comes in and plays the 4. But I think Toscano Anderson, that's where he could see a lot of play, a lot of burn, a lot of run. He's got a good wingspan, good size to him. But he's a guy that has that veteran pedigree. He was on a championship team with the Warriors. He didn't get a ton of run there, but that team was insanely stacked. I do think we could even see, Thomas Bryant, Anthony Davis running with the second unit. Maybe LeBron gets some run at the 4. Say he comes off, gets a break. When you have Russ leave the game, LeBron goes in. LeBron plays at that point forward position at the 4. And then you have Damian Jones kind of backing him up there. So very likely that's what I think will end up happening with that backup 4 spot, is it'll be a collective type of backup. It'll be a by committee type of backup. And I think that this team as a whole could be very good. But, again, what are your thoughts and opinions? As always, I pass the question on to you. What do you think the starting 5 will be? What do you think it should be? What do you think the backup 5 will be? Who do you think will be the main rotation? However you feel about the situation, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Let me know down in the comment section below. Quick little shameless plug, everyone. If you enjoy my videos and commentary here on this channel, As It Stands Lakers, then check out the link down in the description below and go subscribe to As It Stands. Believe it or not, As It Stands was the first channel. If it wasn't for that channel, this channel would never have existed. Because of the success of that channel, it led me to want to create this Lakers channel. So do me a huge solid. If you're not subscribed over there, go check that out. Go subscribe over there. I talk all things sports, all teams, things like that, not just the Lakers. So if you just enjoy my commentary and want to hear me talk about other things, or you just, are a fan of other sports and other teams, go check that out. I promise you will not be disappointed. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.